whether it is government, the boardroom, or in the community. This drives social and political action for sustainable development and greater gender equality. This theme reinforces the role of each of us in forging a more equitable and gender-balanced world, which is free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. As rightly said, gender balance and parity is not just about women's rights, it is about human rights. Each one of us, irrespective of gender, must advocate for inclusive mindsets and tangible action for a sustainable future, and with the active participation of women and girls. Now, I would like all of us to welcome Ms. Anaga Manu Verma. She's class 9 student of Bhavans Girinagar for the prayer. Anaga?
I sing?
Yes, please.
Vidya Vilasini Lokai Sakala Kaladare Saraswati Vidya Vilasini Lokai Kamade Sakala Kaladare Saraswati Sarveshwari Devi Mukhi Pradayini Sarveshwari Devi Mukhi Pradayini Sarasi Jasane Pahima Sarasi Jasane Pahima Vidya Vilasini Lokai Kamade Sakala Kaladare Saraswati Sarvalankara Bhushanitai Sarvatmiki Devi Maapahe Sarvalankara Bhushanitai Sarvatmiki Devi Maapahe Neenandare Gunashalini Mahe Neenandare Gunashalini Mahe Sharanam Bhujam Vittam Namamyaham Sharanam Bhujam Vittam Namamyaham Vidya Vilasini Lokai Kamade Sakala Kaladare Saraswati Lokaha Samastaha Sukhinor Bhavantu Lokaha Samastaha Sukhinor Bhavantu Lokaha Samastaha Sukhinor Bhavantu.
Thank you, Anaka. In 1990s, when women after their engineering degrees were starting their career in software industry, we had one lady engineer beating all the stereotypes, venturing into becoming a managing partner of a company which manufactures 11 kV distributed transformers and HT panels. Please welcome Mrs. Lekha Balachandran, the Iron Lady, I must say, Chairperson of KMA Women's Managers Forum, for the welcome address.
Thank you, Indu. Respected President Namala, Chief Guest Sri Lekha IPS, First Lady President of Kerala Management Association, Pamela Madam, and dear members of KMA and other guests present here, a warm good evening to one and all. Today we have gathered here for the inaugural function of KMA Women's Managers Forum 22-23. This year, it's something special and pride for women members of KMA, as we have a lady president for KMA after a long gap of 30 years. A capable, energetic lady. I'm sure she will lead KMA with all its pride. I, on behalf of KMA Women's Forum, welcome President Numala Lilly for this function.
Thank you, thank you.
And today we are privileged to have our first lady president of KMA with us for the inauguration of this year's activities. Pamela Madam requires no introduction to the business community. She is the pride of Kerala women entrepreneurs. On behalf of KMA and all present here, I welcome you to this function, ma'am.
Thank you.
It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our chief guest, Madam Srilekha IPS, for this August function. A strong lady by all means, who raises her voice and lends her hand for women whenever needed. I'm glad she accepted our invitation without any hesitation. Thank you, ma'am, and welcoming you to this function.
Thank you, Lekha.
It's my pleasure to welcome all the past presidents of KMA, distinguished members of the managing committee, and other members of KMA. I extend my invitation to people from the media, invited guests, students, and staff members of KMA. Welcoming you all for this August evening. Thank you. Over to you, Indu.
Thank you, ma'am. Studies say that women hold more executive leadership positions, their companies are more profitable. This year, we have KMA leadership also taking the bold step of being inclusive by having a woman president. Please welcome Mrs. L. Nirmala, President KMA, for the presidential address.
Thank you, Indu. Chief guest of the day, Madam Sri R. Srilekha IPS, our own past president, Madam Pamela Anna Matthew, Women Managers Chair, Forum Chair, Madam Lekha Balachandran, Women Managers Forum members, Managing Committee members, past presidents, esteemed members of KMA, invited guests, students, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Congratulations to Lekha and team for organizing this inaugural function of activities of Women's Forum and selecting two super brilliant role models as speakers. The success of every woman should be the inspiration to another. We should raise each other up. Make sure you are very courageous, be strong, be extremely kind, and above all, humble. These are the words of Serena Williams, a professional tennis player who has won more single titles than any man or woman. The first lady president of KMA, Madam Pamela Anna Matthew, is the managing director of OEN India Limited. What is remarkable about Pamela Ma'am is that even as early as in the 1990s, when women were rarely seen occupying the corner office in a corporate world in India, she broke through the male-dominated glass ceiling of committees heading regional and national forums and went on to head several powerful bodies like the president of Cochin Chamber of Commerce, president of the Electronic Components Industries Association, chairperson of the Confederation of Indian Industry, chairperson of Social Development and Women's Forum Empowerment Southern Region of CII, and also part of many boards in Kerala and outside. Kerala Senior IPS Officer, Madam R. Srilekha, became the first woman in Kerala to the Director General of Police, DGP. She is a renowned personality for bridging the gender gap and working for women empowerment. Madam Srilekha worked as Additional Director General, ADG of Police. Out of her 8 contemporaries, she was one of the 3 to be appointed to the post at that time. She was also honored with the President's Award for her exemplary service. I used to envy ma'am because of the uniform she wore, the power that she held, and the exemplary job she did. We are indeed privileged to have 2 illustrious women to speak to us today. Today's theme is gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. International Women's Day reinforces the role of each of us in making a more equitable and gender-balanced world that is free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. Gender balance and parity is not just about women's rights, it is about human rights. Each one of us, irrespective of gender, must advocate for an inclusive mindset and tangible action for a sustainable future with the active participation of women and girls. Achieving gender equality requires the engagement of women and men, girls and boys. It is everyone's responsibility. Let's hear from the guest speakers. Once again, thank you, most distinguished guests, for accepting our invitation and for your kind presence. Thank you, one and all. Back to Indu.
Thank you, ma'am. Now moving on to the formal inaugural function. We have with us none other than Mrs. Pamela Anna Matthew, as already mentioned, the First Lady President of KMA and CMD OEN India Limited. I invite Ms. Rakhi Vijay Nair, Member Women's Forum, Managers Forum, to formally introduce Mrs. Pamela Anna Matthew. Rakhi, unmute yourself, please.
A very good evening, all the distinguished guests who have gathered here, and good evening to all my friends as well. It's a pleasure and privilege to introduce Ms. Pamela Anna Matthew, a thought leader, leadership exemplified in institutional building. Anna Matthew is the Managing Director of OEN India Limited, and she holds a double postgraduate in economics and business administrations with over 47 years of top-level professional managerial experience. OEN India Limited is one of the leading lights of the Make in India vision in the field of electromechanical components, catering to the high-end segments of the electronic industry, like automotive, industrial control and instrumentation, communications, data processing, and defense. Well, it has been so for more than 5 decades. The pride of Kerala's industry is even more a feather in our caps, as it is held by a lady par excellence businesswoman, Ms. Pamela Anna Matthew, who has led it through its formative and decisive phases for over 5 decades. As the story unfolds, formed in 1968 as a joint venture with OC Electronetics Corporation, USA, OEN India Limited soon grew into a leading supplier of electromechanical components around the world. This growth continued through the 80s, when the parent company started losing its technical edge. This is when Ms. Pamela, the true leader, emerged at tremendous personal and organizational risk. She took complete ownership of buying out the foreign partner and embarking on a journey of technical excellence, self-sufficiency, and growth. Under a strong tactical and technical leadership provided by Ms. Pamela, OEN soon recovered the heights and reached the unassailable position in the industry. As a far-sighted leader with a strong technical focus and the best management practices, she has been instrumental in benching OEN against the best in the globe, learning from alliance partners and treading new paths where there were none. Her leadership has not yet limited to OEN, my dear friends. Her roles at industry and management business organizations includes KMA, CII, Chamber of Commerce, and many more, as mentioned by our president. In fact, Ms. Pamela was the first woman president of KMA, as we all know, and as close to the topic, she served as a chairperson of social development and women empowerment for Southern region of CII for 2 terms. Again, academia holds a special place in our hearts, isn't it? And she is on the boards of many academic institutions and visiting faculty at many universities. Her strength and dedication in grooming and nurturing future leaders as a mentor and a guide is indeed remarkable. She has always been at the forefront of women empowerment and has led the torch for all of us to follow in her shining footsteps. Ms. Pamela is a person of many talents. She's a versatile singer, painter, sportsperson, has diverse interest in many areas, including environmental sustainability. In fact, if I were to echo her achievements, I would need more time than what just allocated to. But I would also use up her time. Therefore, allow me to cut it short and present to you Ms. Pamela Anna Matthew for her inaugural address. Madam, before you take the podium, we would like you to ceremonially commence the proceedings while lighting the virtual lamp and declare the inauguration of our Women Managers Forum 2022-23. Over to you, ma'am. And Prajit, I request you to present the presentation for all of us to view. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakhi, for the introduction.
So, ma'am,
May
Ma'am, just a second, ma'am. Yeah, Prajit will just play this.
Sound, Rajit, sound.
There is a background music which we can't hear, but
Wonderful.
over to you, ma'am. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Rakhi, for the elaborate introduction about me. And Nirmala, Lekha, and Sri Lekha. Very good evening to all of you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really, really honored and delighted. Now, straight on to this topic, gender equality today for a sustainable future or tomorrow. I certainly believe that gender equality is a process of acceptance by all stakeholders in the society. It could be a manufacturing concern, it could be an educational institution, it could be a service sector, or even in our homes. For that matter, any activity center is where gender equality is involved. I would say that one word by one word, I would like to say that how do we sustain it? Sustain this gender equality for the future. Just one word by one word, it can be explained. That is ownership for our doings will only sustain the gender equality. Barry Stevens, in her book, Don't Push the River, It Flows by Itself, suggests that it is important for each of us to go with the flow rather than to attempt to hasten the pace. If 20 years ago I was told this, I would say that I would like to swim across the current. But possibly my experience would say, alter that and say that we need to learn to navigate the ever-flowing river, for which I feel there are 4 factors. Number one is responsibility and choice. Given the knowledge which we have no option but to navigate life's only constant, which is change. We can either abdicate responsibility and blame it on fate, or take responsibility and choose how we want to respond to the challenges with greater accountability. Choice is always about the method we choose. Number 2 is human beings, we all have to make meaning for our existence. Meaning is not given or prescribed. It is discovered and realized by each one of us. We tend to create our own meaning and purpose out of contact and interaction which we have with others in the society. We may have little or no influence on environmental events, but we certainly have control and choice over who we are and what life means to us. Our main motivation, therefore, for living is our will to find meaning in life. The third aspect, I would say, is the purpose. Purpose is obviously the knowing why we are doing something. Any activity has an intent. When we find meaning, it helps create purpose. Often actions surrounding that purpose ought to relate to the present and also should hold good for the future. The fourth one is goals and objectives. Goals and objectives are to be spelled out, obviously clearly, which could be understood. And at the same time, it has to be flexible enough to adapt to the changing circumstances that we face. The expectation is to empower yourself, your team, which would automatically create ownership and accountability. There is obviously a need to respect the past, but it would be a mistake if you were trying to reverse your past. My generation experienced a feeling of wonder among those around us when we were involved in activities and was very much in the limelight. And possibly that tempered us. We had hard times, however, but I would say that it was very smooth sailing, as competition was very insignificant. That is not the situation now. We have to always strive to be the best at everything one does. We have to keep doing things to move forward. If one gets stuck, we have to return to embrace the change, have to dedicate ourselves to really pitch hard, create a pitch, and make effort continuously to improve it. You need to be a game changer. Leadership, as you know, is all about jumping into where others are afraid to. It is about being able to define very clearly your path. It involves both fear about uncertainty and obviously the courage to face or overcome the odds. Leadership obviously is also getting other people to follow you. That's best done if there is a set of guiding principles to guide you. Most people end up doing what others expect them to do, or they end up focusing on what others are doing. What is critical is having an internal belief system in you as your own, and then try to act on it. The pandemic has altered the way of world, how the way world functions, even though it has brought in a lot of negative consequences. In a way, I would say it was a blessing because it has brought a real boom to the society, which tends not to change very rapidly. Pandemic has changed a lot of our assumptions we used to have, doing tomorrow what we did yesterday. Shaping society has become much more easier as against just innovating the edges around us. So we live in an age of disruption. Just when we think we knew every answer, we find that the questions have changed. So let us play down the pendulum of fear of failure and work on the opportunities that are unfolding. Out of the box thinking instead of stereotype thinking. We may have to fight a battle many more times to win overcome it and declare ourselves as a winner. So I would say, I would encourage all of you to be, within inverted commas, an impact person who would be part of making gender equality sustainable in future by your involvement, dedication. And I would take this opportunity to conclude and say that I'm most delighted to inaugurate the forum's activity of KMA this year. Thank you very much, Lekha, Nirmala, for the kind words and for involving me. And I'm just thinking, 30 years back, it was like, I still can't count those years. And I would say that those who have supported me, people like A.K. Nair, when I was the president of KMA, I had a lot of support, and I'm pretty sure all your members, Nirmala, would support you. Lekha would support the Women's Forum activity, and I would wish all of you the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And we are
I'm sorry, I forgot your name in between. Thank you very much.
That's perfectly okay. Perfectly all right, ma'am. So thank you so much.
Getting old, so
no, you are not. We are not. So we are heading forward and thanking Pamela ma'am once again. We have the next session, which is the chief guest address. In August 2021, the Hindu newspaper published a study titled "Women Make Up Only 12% of India's Police Force." In that, among many other findings, we find some statistics which clearly indicate the prejudice that is towards women, and as they say that policing is a man's job. A significant share of them, including women, were found to hold discriminatory notions about the capability of women in handling police duties. Ladies and gentlemen, our chief guest of the day, Mrs. R. Srilekha IPS retired, First Lady IPS officer from Kerala and an author. I must say that I'm sure she will have a lot to say on these statements. I would invite Ms. Ashwati Govind, member WMF, to give a formal introduction of the chief guest. Ashwati.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A bright new start, a fantastic beginning, a new chapter of WMF. Behind many first is an incredible story. We all know that. First prove something which is doable and smooth out path for the second, third, and the fourth, and so on. Our chief guest doesn't require an introduction. She's a well-recognized figure in our state, the pride of Kerala. Our First Lady IPS officer, 1987 batch, first woman superintendent of police, 1991, first woman DGP, 2020, and inspiration for anyone who wants to pioneer something or break new ground. I'm profoundly delighted to introduce the chief guest for the evening, Ms. R. Srilekha IPS retired. She is known for her wonderful administration and high achievements at almost all institutions she was in charge of. Ms. Srilekha IPS, a native of Thiruvananthapuram, is a Master of English Literature, holds MBA in HR, is a Fellow of King's London, Science for Paris, Edinburgh, and trained by Scotland Yard. Ms. Srilekha IPS started her career as a lecturer, her childhood dream, ambition. Later, she joined RBI, but left the coveted post of RBI Grade B officer at the age of 26 to serve the public. Her stint as managing director of various public sector units was noted for outstanding leadership, efficient intervention, and transparent administration. Reduction in road accidents, all-time record revenue of MBD, the interactive website Tuna, for the public, the counseling center HATS for the mental well-being of police officers, positive transformation of 54% in Kerala, just to name a few of her accomplishments. She has received numerous medals and have been recognized multiple times for distinguished service. She retired in December 2020 as the Director General of Kerala Fire and Rescue Services. Apart from all this, she's an author, penned 9 books, a columnist, a blogger, a YouTuber. Ms. Srilekha IPS retired has always been a strong advocate of gender parity and is known for her efforts to bring more women in the top echelons of Kerala Police Force. Throughout her career and beyond, we see her fighting and standing up against gender inequality. She inspires those willing to fight the fight and motivates others to support and see them through. And that is exactly what WMF has always stood for, supporting women to helm their ships. On this note, let me request the Honorable Chief Guest to address the gathering. Wish you all a very happy evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashwati, for the very nice words. And my dear, very powerful, bold, beautiful women of KMA, including the President Nirmala, and a few surprised gentlemen in between, scattered in between. Good evening to all of you. It's a proud privilege for me to come here and address you during this inaugural session of KMA Women's Managers Forum. I would have loved to meet you all personally because I could see that online, all of you are looking so brilliant and bright and with a lot of energy. That energy I would have liked to imbibe a little bit by in live mode, not on online mode. Unfortunately, we could not meet live, but probably maybe soon we can all meet. I'm very happy to see Pam also, my friend for a very long time. I'm very happy to meet her. We used to chat a lot over phone, but the pandemic had brought a stop to that also, I think, among many other things. Anyways, today I'm, the energy that I feel coming from all of you has been so positive that I'd like to talk a little bit about myself and how now, these days, I am also one among you, an entrepreneur in a way. While I decided to do a study, I was in CBI Kochi a long time back, and at that time I got a little bit of spare time to do something. So I was pondering what to do. Should I do research? Should I do a PhD paper? Or should I do one more post-graduation? What it should be, or some forensic graduation, or something related to policing. Then suddenly it dawned upon me, like Pam said, no, everything is in a flow. So it dawned upon me that I should do MBA. I don't know why MBA. MBA and police do not go well hand in hand together. But still, I thought I'll do MBA. And then I applied for MBA on an online program. It's a beautiful university, Indira Gandhi National Open University, IGNOU. And the study materials were fantastic and amazing. So I enrolled for that, and I used to go to the Sacred Heart College for the physical classes in Kochi. And then most of the time I was doing this, and I specialized, and I thought I'll specialize in human resource management, because police department has got the best human resources in any organization, because that is something which we overlook. The policemen and the staff and the various different types of people in the police department, although people may not consider them as humans, at least the department head should consider them as a human being and should also give them some sort of an impetus to improve themselves, to how to manage them well, how to take care of them, to organize them so that their performance gets better. So these ideas prompted me to research on human resource management. And believe me, during the entire study, I was concentrating only on the police department and the human rights, the human power management in that. How sustainable human resource management in the police department can ultimately lead to a societal reflection of protection of humans in the society, and how their rights can be protected, and how the reflection, when the police becomes better, then the society becomes better. When their attitude becomes better, when they become polite, when they are more organized, when they are well managed, then their activities also then reflect upon how society also gets managed well. So my paper, all the papers which I wrote and presented were all related to police department and human management and human rights management. And throughout after that, after getting MBA, I got a very high first class for that. So after
Oh,
my
great.
MBA, I gave a lot of suggestion to the DGP saying that we should have a HR cell in police department, and I will manage the HR cell as an additional duty. I give several umpteen proposals, but as you know, government does not want all that to happen. Government wants police as it is, as a tool of the government to be used according to will. That is as per the British article is there about police and how the government uses the police as a tool in their hands. So the government wanted the status quo to be maintained, and police remained as it is and without much change. But wherever I have worked, I have seen that they are treated in a much better way, and then organized and given training in a much better way. The close relationship, the police is a very disciplined force. Police constable will not sit in front of an SP, or not even an SP, a circle inspector. Circle inspector will not allow a constable. Now, no constable, it is only a civil police officer, but still a civil police officer will not be able to sit before a inspector and chat over coffee or tea and all that. That much of discipline and the divisions are there. The division of labor is there. So much of inequality is there. But I have always seen to it that wherever I have worked, this Lakshman Rekhas were taken away, and then people were all working in a cordial relationship. And I also encouraged a lot of people not to call me by madam or sir. You can even call me by name, like in the Western this thing. But I only drew shocked responses from everybody. Anyways, after retirement, my post-retirement, I have started a YouTube channel. Not with any business interest. And business has got nothing to do with management, as you may be knowing, because business is something entirely different. Management is something entirely different. When you do your business well, then you are a manager. You manage everything well. So that is business is a career, whereas management is a trait within you. The trait will have to come out. Somehow or other, it cannot be suppressed. It does come out. Like you manage your home, you manage your office, you manage your travels, you manage your cooking. Everything is management in a way or the other. So when I started the YouTube channel, business was not a concern. I only wanted to manage myself in an organized way so that I will not waste my time idling. After retirement, that is what people do. And idling, an idle mind is idle. If you do not do anything, then you invite the devil's workshop. They say that. So I don't want to sit idle and remain static. I want to do something. So I wanted to learn something new. And I started this YouTube channel, and with the intent to share the experiences of my career, my profession. And for the past 1.5 years, from February 2021 onwards, I have been uploading videos every week, every Sunday, and sharing information, sharing interesting stories, sharing about the tips and everything to the people. And recently I've started, YouTube has started paying me a little bit. So the business has started to come in now. Maybe I can apply for KMA membership now. I think it is okay. I don't know. But anyways, I just wanted to share the story with you to say that, nothing is impossible for us women. As a child, I have been always brought up in a situation where I've been told that don't do this, don't do that, don't cross this line, don't cross that. My mother and my family, people in the family were always very protective of girl children, whereas the boys were allowed to roam around free and play and go and play cricket and come late in the night and don't do the homework, climb walls, climb trees, and commit all naughtiness they want. Women, girls were not allowed to do all that. So my mother used to be extremely scared because we were 3 girls. I am the 3rd girl in the family. So she would say that do not speak loudly in front of when senior men are present, do not, when they ask you, you should be a little shy. Do not look into their face and into their eyes and retort back. You should be a little shy. No, like you say in Malayalam, nakam kadicha, mukam kunicha, kal viral konde, kalam varacha. All these were supposed to be good traits of women, positive traits of women. Anyway, I was beaten for climbing the tree. I was beaten for climbing the walls. I was beaten for going and playing cricket with boys when I was 9 or 10. So all these things I had gone through, but that had not stopped me. Only that has only made me stronger and think that no, I will do it. What is wrong? She is wrong. My mother is wrong. My parents are wrong. My elders in the family are wrong. Not just my mother, but my grandmother. She was very extremely traditional. So my grandmother was the one person who would always scold me and beat me and all that. So anyway, it is not what I wanted to bring before you is that it is not how you are brought up. It is not your grooming. It is not your childhood influences and your childhood circumstances that decide where you become, what you want to become, that formulates your ideas and your thoughts about yourself. It is not that, because I have gone through one of the worst experiences as a child in insecurity complexes, inferiority complexes, traumas associated with that, losing my father when I was 16, then being the third girl in the family, third girl, I was always asked to wear the dresses twice worn, use the books twice used, school bag twice used and discarded. So nothing was given new to me. Even when I wanted a new bar of chocolate, then only the third piece the lion's shares will go to my sisters and my little brother, who was a special child, only son in the family. Only a little bit of piece was given to me as a chocolate. So all this was denied to me. So that would have given a tremendous complex to me. And probably it did for a little bit of time. But somehow I started realizing myself, and despite all the odds, this I have achieved whatever and more that I wanted to achieve. I dreamt of achieving as a child. I used to dream about all sorts of things. Like I am a very imaginative sort of a person. As a kid also, I was extremely imaginative, and I used to dream doing that, doing everything, beyond and over and beyond whatever I imagined and dreamt I could do, with nobody's support, only with my conviction and belief that yes, it is possible for me. And if I could do it, then anybody can do it. Not just the women sitting here or anywhere else in the world, but the men also, the boys also, whoever. The challenges will be there everywhere, like in police department. When I entered IPS, this was it's an unwitting thing for me. I never even imagined that I'd become an IPS officer or a police officer. Like anybody else, I also feared police as a child. I was made to fear police. I was told stories about police brutality, police cruelty. I was reading about that in the newspapers. Even the sight of police used to disgust me. That huge mustache, that big tummy, bulging tummy, the way they used to walk and arrogance in their face. All this used to really thoroughly disgust me. So I also disliked police tremendously. I remember when I was going to college one day, I was studying in second pre-degree. At that time, it was pre-degree after school. And I was in women's college in Trivandrum. Adjacent, there is an arts college for men, boys. So we would be crossing every day. I would be going to women's college, boys would be going to arts college. And every day there will be some comments or the other. And some of them are sweet, some of them are not worth listening to. Some of them are like the croaking of frogs. So we ignored that. But one thing struck me suddenly. One boy was telling the another boy that, look at her, she is so tall and bulky. She can become a police. She thinks she can become. I think she will become a police officer, woman police officer. Vanita police in Naratham. That is exactly what he was saying. So I froze. I looked at the girls around me. Who are they speaking about? Is there anybody like that, tall and stout and all that? Then I found only myself. All the others were small, petty girls who are walking around with me. So I felt so angry with him. I wanted to turn back, go and beat him, saying, "How dare you say that I'm a woman police?" But somehow he had Gulikan in his mouth. That is, I would say that he had this sort of intuition from somewhere to speak those words, and the heavens heard that and made me something like that happened. After doing my childhood ambition was to become, like Ashwati introduced me and told that my childhood ambition was to become a college teacher like my father. And I became a college professor, and later on I found it to be a very sort of tedious job which requires a lot of patience, very honorable job. But teaching Macbeth for 35 years before different phases, oh my God, unimaginable. So I said I should look for something better, and but again, teaching was the only option which was there for me when I was going to join for MPhil. My professor told me that, why are you wasting your time? You go and write the civil service examination. And then suddenly the spark came that yes, civil service is an option. So even without you thinking, these things will come from somewhere. The teacher will tell you, or somebody will tell you, and then you will see that yes, it is possible for me. Otherwise, you will never think that even the civil service or IAS is possible for a person like me. So the teacher must have seen something in me. That is why she suggested go and write the civil service. So I started preparing. What is civil service? I had no idea. At the age of 23, I was introduced into this new career prospect of Union Public Service Commission civil service examination. At that time, no internet, no coaching classes, nothing. So I was going around asking people, going to the library, studying, then subscribing to books, and then ultimately I found out through some source or the other, nobody in the family who is in the civil services, so nobody to talk to. But I went around, met people, and then got an idea, and it took me 1 year to decide, and then ultimately I got in after 2 years. But the beauty of the thing is that, doors open up when you decide that you want something unexpectedly. When you think that yes, I want something, and then you do a little bit of work towards that, then from here some door opens, from here some door opens. I said, come in, come in, come. So I got invited like that through various doors, and then wherever I went in, I got positive responses. And people telling me that yes, it is possible for you. And it's easier than bank exams. And by that time, I had cleared bank exam. I became an RBI officer. But then again, people said that I hated maths. So I was finding working in RBI extremely bad, and it was not fitting me. So that motivation also I got from other people. And IAS was the aim, but then again the door of IPS opened for me and said that come here, you are more fitting here. So I went into IPS with a little bit of tears in my eyes. I was desperate that I did not get into IAS. I lost IAS by 7 marks. So I was saying that, oh, stupid girl, why couldn't you get 7 more marks and get into IAS? Why this police? But then that was a blessing in disguise. Because I could come to Kerala being in the top rank of the IPS. Had I been in the IAS with the 7 marks, I would have been an IAS officer in Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Assam, or Bihar. But that 7 marks, losing the 7 marks was again another blessing, another door opening for me. That made me become the first lady IPS to come to Kerala. That has become a sort of a changing, the U-turn in my career, my profession. Made me decide a lot of things. But it has been tough. It had been hard. You all know that coming to a place where there is a lot of, it's a masculine, police is a very masculine field. Again, business management is a very masculine field. And becoming a top lady manager or a top lady police officer is fraught with a lot of difficulties. People don't like you. They view you with distrust. They don't accept you easily. And in social gatherings and all that, you tend to get alienated. I still know that there are a lot of IPS or male IPS officers who are extremely hesitant to salute, to shake hands with me. They don't want to shake hands with me. So they're comfortable doing this to me rather than, I always, whenever a senior person goes around shaking hands, like a governor or maybe a very senior police officer, DGP rank officer coming and meeting juniors and shaking hands. When they reach me, I also extend my hand because I don't think that I'm a woman in uniform. I extend my hand. Suddenly he pulls back and says salute, namaste, and moves away. So I always used to feel unhappy with such attitude. It is that attitude. I am not having any gender discrimination, but he is having. So I always felt that gender discrimination or gender imparity has been brought in by the attitude and the perception of the males around us and the society around us, not by the women. We women do not feel that we are different from men when we are working. We are different because we are created in a different way. We are created in a much more beautiful way, much more gentle, emotional, passionate, loving, kind, sincere, caring. Oh, all sorts of good things are associated with women, non-corruptible, and so many nice things are there. And also we are blessed with an additional organ in our body, which sustains humanity. It's men cannot boast of that. And that particular organ in the body, the womb, it is the man with a womb is a woman. So I always think that it is a woman has come from that. A man with a womb is a. There is no difference between man and women. We are all men, but men with womb is woman. So that is why that word also has been formed. And that womb has given us those hormones, that special that traits and characteristics that make us so distinct and different from men. They're all jealous of us. All the men are jealous of women who are so much more, blessed by God and ordained, and all that doing. We can do a lot of more things that men cannot do at all. We can do everything with ease, cooking with ease, cleaning with ease, talking with ease, dancing with ease, singing with ease. Everything comes easily to us, whereas men usually suffer when they do anything that is related to the homely things or anything that is outside their job sphere. So anyway, I'm not blaming men. Or the two people whom I love most in my life are men, my husband and my son. So I'm not finding anything wrong with them. I'm only saying that we are more endowed than women are more endowed than men. So generally there is no distinction, no discrimination, nothing. There is equal opportunities, there are equal chances and everything for us. But throughout history and throughout the literature, throughout all the writings of people, they have made it so that women are subservient to men for and all those pieces of literature, all those epic and all those writings, history and everything were written by men. That is their wish. That is their, they want women to serve them, to be under them, to please them all the time. So they write it like that. And foolishly, the whole society believes that this is the case. It has to be like that. It is not that. We can also write history. We can also write epics. We can also write novels and literature and historic documents, which prove that, yeah, it is whatever that has been propagated is false. Whatever that has been taught is false. And the correct thing is what we are living now. See our example. See what we are exuding, what we are doing, what we have achieved. This is history. This is epic. This is the thing that you have to learn from me, from my experiences. All women will have to do that way. So there is no gender inequality, gender justice or a gender equality for a sustainable tomorrow. That so-called jargon, that word that's a motto by the UN, created by the UN. I think it's a little out of place, because there is no gender inequality as far as I am concerned. There are no glass ceilings. Everything is accessible equally. Opportunities are equally available to men and women. Only thing is that the perception of some men and some people in the society are different, and that it's the changing of that perception and attitude that matters. We don't have to talk about gender inequality. We have to talk about the human perception that has brought in gender inequalities. Even the government, after retirement, I find a lot of problems with the government, how it is governed, how people are governed. When a new idea is formulated by the government, for example, I'm being open with you, this Silver Line, K-Rail project. Have they done a survey? Have they asked the people of Kerala, do you want it? We are going to introduce something called K-Rail. Do you want it? Is it a good thing? What do you think? Will it save you more time? When Kochi Metro was introduced, was anybody in Kochi asked, do you think it's a good project? Do you think you can, your traveling woes will be reduced with the Kochi Metro? Nobody asks. It is an idea which gets hatched in the mind of an individual, presented before a politician, presented as a paper, and then the government sees only the money involved and the commission involved and how it can be a change if a factor, and how it can be promoted as a sort of a political tool. And then they implement that with colors and this thing and all that. I have seen a lot of things like that, dam projects, and then so many, like the Kerala Lok Sabha and all that. What is the purpose of that? Who benefits from that? calling all the NRIs from various places and having meetings and then cultural meetings and organizing talks and events. Has the KMA benefited from that? For the past, I think, 2-3 times we have been organizing this Loka Kerala Sabha. Has the KMA benefited? Has the Chamber of Commerce benefited? Has more industries come up in Kerala? Has the economic growth in Kerala boomed? Has anything happened at all? So who plans this? Who wants it? It is when government takes a decision, it usually is for very limited purpose of publicity and for selling something and not for the benefit of the people. I am saying this because in the police, the recruitments, all the recruitments happen through the Public Service Commission. And Public Service Commission is a governmental agency and they have restrictions for even police, also the constable employment. When they advertise it in the newspaper, they give certain specifications of minimum qualification, minimum height, weight, all these things. Only men can apply. It's the last thing that they write. For Public Service Commission, even now they write. There is a separate test for women police constables. The test is not for equally open to men and women police officers. I have pointed this out about 20 years back to the government and said that this is the height of gender discrimination by the government. PSA should change this, make uniform recruitment rules, take police constables generally from men and women together, and then train them together, and then post them together, let them do all sorts of work, like IPS. Why are we not doing that? Even like 12% only in Kerala, it is even only 9%. All India level, pan India, it is 12%, less than 12% women representation only is there in the police. But in Kerala, it is less than 9%. So although we say that women police battalions are formed, what is the purpose of women police battalions? I don't understand. Battalion should be there, but it should be a police battalion with women and men. So similarly, everywhere you see this discrimination drawn, and government is one person who does this repeatedly, continuously, refuses to take out this, discriminatory lines, although we send a lot of proposals to them. So central government is, I think, in Union Public Service Commission, there is nothing like that, but armed forces, it is still going on. And paramilitary forces like CISF, CRPF, BSF, ITBP, even now there is no equality. So equality all over the world, when you look into the uniformed forces, then there is a sharp divide between men and women. Equal opportunities are not there. Come to the labor thing, down below, grassroots level. People go for daily wages, people go for labor. You also as senior managers must be knowing that what is the amount of daily pay you give to a man, what is the amount of daily pay you give to a woman. There is something called a botanical garden, Palod Botanical Garden in Trivandrum, where I visited some time back because recently I started developing this graceness for gardening. So I went to get some garden tools and some things and all. And then I found that women came to me and complained that they're only getting around half of what the men are getting. And a lady is heading that, the Palod Botanical Garden. She is the chief there. So I asked her, what is this? You being a lady, you're paying ladies less and you're paying men more. And she said that, oh, madam, it is because of the labor that they do. When men can carry 50 buckets of sand every day, women will be able to carry only 25 buckets of sand a day. Then I said that then you take away the term daily wages and you say that you equate that with the labor that a person do. Number of buckets is equal to 1 bucket of sand is equal to 10 rupees. Like that you can do it. Or maybe it's a planting of this many number of plants. For each planting you can give a money and pay that equally to men and women. So don't discriminate in daily wages and all that. I think it's illegal. It is not correct. But people do that and people justify it. They don't take responsibility for anything that they do because it is the government order, government direction. So she could very well have written to the government sitting there saying that I want to pay equally my lady and women workers and men workers. But nowhere it is done. Even when you go to a restaurant or you go to a big hotel, women doing the same work as that of men are paid less. I have visited a huge resort chain. My friend runs a resort chain. And then the women who do the cleaning work or the bed sheets and all that in the resorts, they get paid less than the men who do the same type of work. So we can talk about that, but it's never implemented because the will to implement it is not there. And as long as there is a perception on the part of a single man that a woman is not the same as I am. As long as, like Vismaya case, I was shocked to hear a telephone conversation between, on the YouTube, it is going around, the Kiran Kumar, who is now in jail now, rightfully so. He should not be in jail, he should be in hell. But this Kiran Kumar was talking to his wife, Vismaya, about the car which was given to him for as a dowry, and saying, boy, he wanted this car. I wanted a city Honda, and you gave me this. So he is considering a car to be more important than his wife, the girl. That sort of an attitude is shocking in our society, and it's there everywhere. Dowry is there, and then certain areas in our in Kerala, certain areas you have seen how a girl was denied coming into the stage to receive a prize. She studied, she got good marks for 10th. Somebody called her to the stage to receive an award. She came to the stage and blasting came. Who called her to the stage? How dare you call a lady, a girl to the stage? The stage is meant for men. It is the men who are controlling everything. Women should not do anything. It's a shocking sort of events. And we are talking about gender inequalities now. So what are we doing? This until and unless we change all this, there will be no gender equality. There is no sustainable tomorrow. Things will go on as it is, and we will be happy. What we think, I don't think about myself, but about general opinion is that let government do what they want, or let Samastha do what they want. Let these people do what they want. It is their religious thing. It is their cultural thing. Let them do it. As long as it does not affect me, it is okay. No, it is not okay. It affects all of us. It is not okay. We should voice it. We should raise our concerns. We should speak against it. We should condemn it. And we should show by example that this nonsense we will not tolerate lying down. So I wish KMA would do something about these things which are happening in our society. We also read the newspapers. We also know what is happening around us. We, as an organization, I'm saying we because I also feel part of KMA now. As an organization, KMA is not for ourselves alone, but it is for the society. We are doing a lot of good things to the society. We are coming forward. We women are doing a lot of good things to the society by our example. And we should also try to teach and share our opinion about such things which are happening, and then say that we don't want this, we want this. So when we say that, then there will be true equality in gender. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. That was indeed an inspiring session by you. I think the best part was listening to your story and then getting on to the real, issues that you're very right in saying that most of the things, because of our tolerance, this has going on like this forever. But anyway, all good things come to an end, and this event is no different. We have heard today some really powerful women speaking to us about the gender equality or inequality for that matter. Of course, we look forward to a sustainable tomorrow, and we look forward to changes. And we have heard about their journey, their challenges and successes, and we wish both of them a very, very, all the best in their future lives. Now, let's call on Rupa George, member Women's Forum, to give the vote of thanks. Over to you, Rupa.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you. It gives me immense pleasure and honor to give the vote of thanks on this occasion. I would like to thank Madam Pamela for inaugurating the KMA Women's Managers Forum for 22-23 and sharing with us your valuable thoughts. We need to navigate the ever-flowing river is what struck me most. I would also like to thank Madam Srilekha for gracing us with your presence and sharing with us your valuable thoughts and opinions. Nothing is impossible for us women, said Srilekha ma'am. So let's strive towards making possibilities. We're all inspired by your great words. Thank you so much. A KMA curated memento will be sent to you as a token of our gratitude and thanks. I would like to thank all the known and unknown hands that contributed towards the success of this program. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Lekha, Sri Lekha.
This is indeed an awesome session. Then, ma'am, thank you so much. It was a brilliant session that we had, and a lot of inspiration, ma'am. And then a lot of things that it's thought-provoking. There are a lot of things that we can think and do. And I'm so glad that you would love to come to. We would love to have you in KMA. In fact, I'll be sending a letter. And yes, there are a lot of things that we can do as Kerala Management Association for the society, spearheading management movement in Kerala. And let's see that what we can do it together. And with your support, definitely we can. Sky is the limit, isn't it, ma'am? Yes,
Yeah, nothing is impossible.
Yes,
Nothing is impossible.
Thank you, Ruba. Thank you all, Chairperson Lekha, and all the members of Women's Forum, and all members gathered here. Thank you very much for your kind presence. And thank you. And looking forward to meeting all of you again for the next session. And I